Hey there, everybody, and those of you that are just going to join late and watch the replay, hello to you too. We've got Boomer, and we've got Abby, and Molly. Hello, 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 welcome. I am going to turn the camera. Hey Karen, how are you? Hello, hello. I'm just going to stick it on the tripod, so hold your horses. Canine Board and Train is here. Dog Train. Mater Dog Train. Hello, hi. You've been missing me. I'm so sorry. I am here. I am back. I was traveling in Texas. Rough house. Hey, Crystal. Crystal's here. I was traveling in Texas over the weekend. Then I got stuck in Texas. Now I am back. Hey, Jane. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Excuse me. I need some water. Hello. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are jumping in. I am set up here. You're making dinner, so you're listening. No problem. Yeah, Karen, that other guy was Blake Rodriguez, and he is awesome. He's a good friend of mine. And email is the best way to get in touch with me. Email Kim@PawsnPossibilities.com, or you can get in touch with me straight from my website, and there's a link to my website in my bio. So if you go directly to my website and click the Contact Me, Contact Us button, that email goes directly to me and also to Lauren. Lauren is my senior trainer. She runs all of our Maryland location. So hang on, I'm plugging my phone in. I had meant to do that when we started, so I don't lose you. So those emails go to both of us. So if it's specific to me and you write me, absolutely, you'll get to me. Somebody wanted to know who did the scent detection workshop, and it was in Texas, and the trainer was from Chicago. She came down to lead the workshop. Her name is Emily Stoddard, Stoddard. Stoddard. She is one of the best trainers I've ever had the pleasure of watching in person. She was just masterful. It was beautiful to watch her. And we have a lot of similarities in our training philosophies, which is super fun for me to learn. And the coolest thing that I think we have in common when we're working dogs is that, yeah, I have gotten we're started already. You guys are going to see that right now. One of the coolest things that we have in common is that we both believe very strongly that a dog's attitude, reinforcing good attitude, will trump almost any obedience type behavior that we're Thank you, Karen. A good attitude will trump almost anything we're working on. So the dogs get to still have personalities. They're not robots. Her dogs are very highly well trained. One's a service dog. She competes. She's very, very competitive in canine competition. So it's really cool to see that even though she's told them to stay, if they wiggle away a little bit, you're going to periscope while I'm in place. Okay. Awesome. So I'm just going to fiddle around a little bit with scent detection. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really, for me, you just found her website. Awesome. Yeah, she's fantastic. So for me, I think I got this from dolphin training, and I have such a great story. To get the whole gist of it, it's a little bit of a longer story, but I think I can make it short. I got the gist of this when I was a dolphin trainer, about that my own personality believes so strongly that attitude is everything, and not every trainer agrees with that. And so for me, I just feel like it's a give and take in building rapport and having a relationship with the dog, that it's really important to me that their personality stays right there. And if they're a rule follower, they're going to get everything right. If they're like trying to wiggle around or try to see what they can get away with, and some dogs need more structure than others. And my German Shepherd laying back there is one of those examples. He needs a lot of structure. The two lounging on the couch right here, they don't need so much structure. Look at them. Oh, and you can see I'm at the snow zone here by the door. So we got extra mats and blankets down to wipe off all the snow that we got in Maryland. Awesome. So I want to do a little bit of clicker training and show you I'm at the very, very beginning stages of scent training, because that's what I just learned about. And I'll just demonstrate with Boomer. Now, it's going to be easier for me to scent train Molly. She's leaving. it's going to be easier for me to sport. Yeah, I can't have too much obedience, right? You're absolutely right. So the sport dog, yeah, kills the spirit. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You wanted to when you were a wee lad. That's funny. So yeah, I decided I wanted to train dolphins when I was in college, and before then I wanted to be a vet. So it's always been something animal related. So I'm at the very, very, very beginning stages with Boomer. It's easier to train my two little ones here because they're more experienced with clicker training. So they've already learned in their history of training a little bit more about this process of you see if you can figure it out, and I'll just reinforce you when you're on the right track. And you might see with Boomer in this session that I'll show you, he is quick to, if he doesn't get it right away, or if he doesn't get the reinforcement fast enough, if I want to try to build his duration at staying at the source of the odor, yes, we do mentoring and shadowing programs. So if I wanted him to stay at the source for longer, what I found was that he was really quick to give up, and then he would just sit back, and then he would just stare at me. And he's had a lot of work and a lot of reinforcement history on intense focus, sustained eye contact. Don't break your eye contact with me by any distractions. So he has that foundation from obedience. And so I put him in this structure with scent training, and there's no rules and there's no structure with regards to that he's got to be staring at me or anything. There's no obedience involved in the scent training program, and he gets a little confused, and he's like, how about I just stare at you? He just kind of quickly reverts back to that. And then sometimes if that doesn't work, he might bark at me. And I think the previous people that had him before me highly reinforced him for barking, either when he was wanting attention or confused. So he reverts back to that. When in doubt, you sort of revert back to what has worked for you in the past. So it'll be fascinating for you guys to watch. Right? That's funny. Lots of focus. Yeah. So when you're starting something new, they revert back to what has been highly reinforced in the past. So the beauty of Periscope, you guys get to learn right along with me, and you guys get to watch me troubleshooting Boomer if we have any problems. What I found very quickly, I lost my last question. Do you offer any kind of apprenticeship? Yeah, absolutely. We do offer an apprenticeship. We have we do like a shadow program. So if you're interested, contact me through a website and we can certainly set something up. So Boomer, what I noticed even very early on, rookie question, what's the max time a dog should be in a cage during the day? It depends on the dog, but he'll push you for food. Yeah, and Karen, I'll go back to the crate. Karen, in scent training, I want the dog to be a little pushier. Yeah, perfect. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. I want the dogs to make good choices too. And as far as how long in the crate during the day, really, it depends on the dog. If house training is not an issue, if we're talking about an adult dog who can hold its bladder for however long we're talking about, depends on the breed of the dog, the drive of the dog, the shape of the dog. But I used to have a border collie years and years ago that when I was a dolphin trainer, and I'll tell you what, I would have sometimes, yeah, canines are crates all day. I could have an 8.5 or 9 hour day at work, and I'd have a commute on the front and a commute on the back. Right. Well, if you get a puppy, you can't leave him home all day because you're going to have house training issues. So with a young puppy, you can get a dog sitter to come in 2 times a day at the beginning as they get older, just to walk your dog and get them out and stretch their legs. But what really matters at the end of the day is that the dog has had enough attention at the end of the day. So whether that's before work or after work, it's very, very realistic to have a full-time job and have a dog. You just need to prioritize the time when you're home, that it's quality time with the dog. They get enough physical exercise. Most important, probably they get enough mental exercise, lots of training. So speaking of training, I love your guys' questions. I really do. I want to jump and show you just a really quick I'll keep it short because it's brand new for him, quick training session with Boomer. And when I'm finished up with him, I will put him back on his place, and then I'll answer any questions that you have. As I'm doing the session with him, I'm not going to look at my screen. So if you guys want to comment, that's awesome. You guys will see each other's comments. During the session, I'm going to spend my attention and my focus just on Boomer. And again, the session will not be very long. It is day 2 of scent training. So what that means is that I have a little canister here that has, go for it, Kim, thanks, Karen. I have a canister here that has some, a piece of blotter paper in here that has what we refer to as a cocktail. It's actually 5 different scents combined on the one blotter paper. And so far, the only sessions I've ever done with him has been, I love Emily's phrase, she calls it the better than the cookie exercise. So I have, you know, food, oops, good girls. I have food in one hand and this in the other, and then I let the dog choose which one they want, and as long as he chooses this one, I mark, I say yes, and give him the food. And yeah, you can buy these and you can order them. There's a guy online that has a whole kit for scent training that I love. His name is Andrew Ramsey. If you guys ever want that information, you could email me and I'll get it to you. But so better than the cookie, he learned pretty quickly to go smell it. I start to add in some distractions, like I'll open the food like this. I want him to stay here. So that's all I did yesterday. Assuming he does just as well at the session now, I will put this in here. How do you prep him to choose the cocktail? Oh, I just waited. My Facebook, again, please don't apologize. I appreciate you asking. My Facebook is obviously facebook.com/pause-and-possibilities. Pause and possibilities. I don't know if you can read that. Pause and possibilities. So that'll get you to my Facebook. And the bio for Periscope will click through on my website link. So either way you want to get in touch with me. If he does well with me holding in my hand, I'll put it in this container, and then I'll want him to scent the same thing on the top. So it's just progressing. Eventually this will be in a box. So we're just getting to that point that it will be in a box. So I'm kind of excited. Let's see how he does. No pressure, right? These live training sessions. The trainer is training their dog a brand new behavior that the dog doesn't know, and we'll see how he does. So here's his food. This is his dinner, and it literally is right, let's see if I can see, right next to me, right there. So he could literally be like, I'll just eat right out of that, but I'm not gonna let him do that. He has to eat it from my hand. Okay, cool. Release. Good boy. Oh, he just got static electricity from the carpet on my fingers. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. Okay. Let's see how he does. I want to make sure you guys can see. Good. Yes. 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 Get it. Yes. Awesome. Get it. Go boy. So he's doing really well. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the tin and see how he does. And I might, oh good, yes. I'll actually just take that. There's that attitude, right? As I went to put it in the tin, he came forward to see what I was doing. I love that attitude. I just said yes and reinforced it just because he had an awesome attitude. Love it, love it, love it. Cool. Yes. Should have probably had food ready. Yes. So this looks different to him now. He has no idea. I'm going to put it on the ground, so I'm going to move this. Ugh, my hand's all slimy. Nothing like the slime from his mouth all over my hands. You wonder why I shower at the end of the day. All right, let's see how he does here. I'll just eat. Don't eat out of the bowl. I just told everyone you weren't going to do that. Okay. Yes. Let's see, he's blocking it a little bit. That's all right. Yes. Yes. can't see that comment right now, but when I'm done, I'll ask for questions. Yes. Excellent. Just toss a couple kibble over there, only to have it look different for him to walk back forward here. Apparently he hasn't, oh, he's just laying down. Now I wait. Yes. Nice. Without any direction from me. Yes. Awesome. And I am going to leave it at that. I like that he didn't get stuck over there and fall into obedience. And awesome. Good boy. So that was great. Hang on, let me put him back. Unslime myself. Boomer. Good boy. Place. Good. Wrong. Place. Good boy. Awesome. Okay. I gotta seriously unslime. He's so gross. And I'll put this back up. And move this a little bit. And now, awesome. I'm glad you guys are still here. And you can still see him in the background a little bit. And I'll be able to answer any questions. Now I can see you. He was good. He was so good. He's cute. Thank you so much. He, I don't think of cute when I see him. He's kind of a jerk. He's a little bit of a bully. You found my Facebook. Awesome. I'm so glad. Did I click and treat to kind of load the cocktail? Sort of, yes. And what am I training for? Rescue. He is a rescue. Thank you. He's gorgeous. I appreciate that. And I'm training him for scent detection because he has a natural propensity to want to use his nose. I want him to choose scent over food. Yep, him, dog mama, awesome, yeah. Yes instead of click, yeah, that's what I was gonna tell you. So I'm using yes instead of click because when I first started, my hands were full. He's supposed to choose the scent over kibble. Yep, that's what he was supposed to do. So I'm conditioning him early on in stage 1, phase 1, day 2, that finding the odor is what will lead him directly to whatever reinforcement he wants. So down the line, I could train this with a toy or food, either or both. You're confused as to why he's choosing scent over kibble in the beginning. Well, he's choosing it because yesterday I held this canister that has the odor in it in one hand, and I held food in the other, and he went to go sniff my hand, right? Of course. Using food, not confused when searching down the road. Using food will not confuse no, it won't confuse anything down the line. So yesterday, of course he went to sniff no, it won't confuse them. He went to sniff my hand, of course, because there was food in it. But that didn't get me to say yes, and he didn't get the food from my hand. But out of curiosity, when he went to go investigate what this was and what it smelled like, I said yes, which he now knows means that he's going to get food, and he got the food. So he learned, it only took him 2 or 3 times to learn that going to smell this is what will get you what you want. So it's just one step towards, and because he's already conditioned with a marker and knowing that when he hears the word yes, he's going to get reinforced with something that he likes, that I only have to say yes here, Abby, I only have to say yes when he gets to here. Do I use free to release him? I actually use the word release, and that's only because he had worked with another trainer prior to me, and that was the word they used, so I just kept it. And I'm also a big fan, by the way, in training that all of these words need to be contingent upon other factors. So the fact that I just told you guys, I say release and that releases him, he would have been wrong if he had taken advantage of having heard that word and gotten off. He needs me to be looking at him, focused on him, paying attention to him, somehow acknowledging him in conjunction with the word release. Otherwise, it should not mean anything to him. Cool. Anything as sent like money or worn turn. Yeah, you can, once they, yep. In fact, there was a little puppy that a friend of mine, Quinn, is a trainer down in Texas. He's training his puppy to find money. So I think that's pretty cool. You can train a dog to find anything. And I was asking Emily this weekend if potentially my long-term goal might have Boomer be trained to detect something else. These odors that I'm using now are the odors that are used in scent competitions, and I'm interested in getting him to the point where he could compete. I'm already noticing it's kind of hard to find competitions in this area. It doesn't look like there's a lot in the Maryland area. So down the line, if I end up transitioning him to a different scent, there's a pretty easy process. Find antlers, how should we do that? It depends if you just want it to be a game, just as a training, this is fun, or if you want to train to find antlers where long-term you could transfer it to find anything. It depends. So if you just want it to be a super fun game, start with the antler being in a pretty obvious place and then have your dog out of the room, and then when you release them and come in, then you could just say something else, find it, or whatever you want to find, and then they'll find it right away, and you can get them in the habit of coming in and getting it, and then you can start to hide it in harder and harder places, but your goal is that your dog will always get it right, so don't go too hard too fast. And if they can't get it right, my recommendation is that you bring them back out of the room and then move it to a different location that's easier for them to find, as opposed to if they can't find it, yes, find your keys. Yeah, exactly. Easy to train a dog to find your keys. And then you just have to potentially pair it with a recall, like a fetch, if they find your keys to bring them to you, if you want them to find your keys and just alert on them. But absolutely, you could do the same training for keys. And then, of course, you practice hiding the keys where you know where they are, and then have the dogs work to find them in their easy places, and it gets harder and harder and harder until you get to the point where you actually have lost your keys, and then you can ask your dog to find them. Yep, no problem. You could have them find anything, and it's just fun, and it's perfect if the weather's too cold or there's 3 feet of snow and you can't do as much walking. Your dog won't drop the toy on command. How can you make him? So I'm just picky, first of all, about semantics, so I don't really like to approach it thinking I'm going to make a dog do anything, but I totally understand your question, and I don't want to be picky, but just so you know. That's a simple one for clicker training. If you're familiar with a clicker, I have one right here. It's just a little noise maker. So there's lots of different kinds, but you just click and give them a treat. So if a dog has a toy in their mouth, you can, before you start to click, don't do that until you're sure to work, but literally like trade your dog for a treat and see if you hold the treat in front of their nose that they'll probably drop the toy to eat the treat. When they drop the toy, you click, then you give them the treat. So let them smell the treat. They drop the toy, you click. How much are clickers? Like $1 probably at a pet store. We give them away to our clients. They're pretty inexpensive. They might be $2. I don't know. They're not. Any pet store has them. Big sniffer that would benefit network. I didn't see it. Yeah. So I think you posted something similar, and I didn't see it both times. I'm so sorry. I was trying to read it as fast as I could. I think you have a Catahoula that you want to know if they would benefit from scent training. Probably, I think any dog would benefit from scent training because it can stimulate them in a way that not much else can from a training world. So this is coming from a professional trainer who just learned how to do it 3 or 4 days ago. I just see lots of benefits for it being just one more fun thing you can do. One of the things I love best about it is that you're literally working, I heard him moving, you're literally working your dog in a way where you can't help him. And with clicker training, a lot of times we lure our dog using a treat to manipulate them and move the treat up or down or side to side. Yeah. Definitely confidence building for a fearful dog, definitely, because then they get something right. Like, oh, I got that right. So if you're luring a dog everywhere, it's hard sometimes in the training process to back off and let the dog try to figure it out. It's one of our specialties that we teach our clients is that I want you to help your dog as little as they need. Most people help their dog way more than their dog needs. So don't do that. Only help them as much as they need. And what I love about scent training is that down the line, especially if these odors are in a closed box, like, I can't help you. I can't smell it. I can't, I can smell it like this right now, but literally, like, I can't help you. And so it forces the handler to trust in their dog and then to let their dog work, which you can do that in other areas too. It's just easier to help your dog. If you're waiting in that really, like, kind of almost a stressful moment in training, like competitive healing, yeah, you can't help them. You can't do that for them. But even when you're training the components of that competitive healing and when you're training the positioning, many people help the dog more than the dog needs. So the more you can the more you can put the ownership on the dog to figure it out, the more you can put the ownership on the dog to hold themselves accountable and to do the behavior, the more the dog is going to get out of it. The more at the end of the session you'll see a response of, like, the dog got a whole lot of exercise because it was mental exercise. I have a client who, her dog will do anything to try to get her mom to help her because she doesn't like to have to think it through on her own. She just likes to be told what to do. You tell her what to do and she'll gladly do it. Can I follow back, please? So I appreciate you asking. I don't do that. If you're somebody that puts out really awesome content, I will follow you, but I don't just do it reciprocal, but I appreciate you asking. You have a German Shepherd that wants to eat animals and people. Any help? Yes, I have lots of help for you. This may not be the right time necessarily to go into it, but I'll tell you right out of the gate, it's going to be almost entirely reworking your fundamentals and your foundation and establishing leadership with your dog in areas that don't have anything to do with other animals or other people. So are they waiting at the crate door? You don't have to follow me. You don't have to follow me at all. So I only want people to follow me who appreciate and like the content that I'm delivering. Your dog chews on everything now. She's going to stop. Yeah. I don't know if it's a young dog. I think it is. But I don't let young dogs chew on anything inappropriate because it's accidentally reinforcing to them. So anyway, you guys get the idea. To help your dog as little as possible. Let them figure stuff out. It's really, really good for them. Your German Shepherd needs a lot. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Your German Shepherd needs a lot of structure on all the simple stuff. Thank you. You guys are awesome. So make sure your German Shepherd's waiting in his crate when you open the door. Just opening the door does not mean he's allowed to leave. He needs to wait for you for guidance. You tell him, I release Boomer from his crate. You are very welcome. It is my pleasure. I make my German Shepherd wait, even if I'm just if I am going to give him a bowl of food, I would make him, he would sit and wait and no problem. I'll check my Facebook. Thank you. So I put the food on the ground and then I release him that he can go eat it. He has to wait. He has to wait before you go through the door. He has to not pull on the leash. So it's only when he's outside the house. But I tell you what, there's tons you can work on inside the house to create a relationship and establish the leadership skills that you'll need to be able to address the issues that you're seeing outside the house because it's all interconnected. I hope that makes sense. So if you guys have other questions, I have probably a few more minutes. Hard-headed, you have to make them wait. I know, Karen, I know. It's hard. Take your time. Do I teach drop it other ways? I don't like the concept of trading as I don't want them to think that you're always going to get a treat. So I don't have a problem trading for food only because there's food here. Yeah, I don't have a problem trading for food. And as soon as I can get the behavior to the point where it's predictable that when I say drop it, they'll leave it because I'll click and then I'll treat, then you can start to vary that they don't always get food all the time. So the problem, Crystal, generally isn't that they're always going to think there's food there. It's only because the trainers who train that way often don't fade out the food. They keep the food there, so the dog is then learning it's always there. I only use the food to get the behavior on stimulus control, and I hate to throw like technical terms out, but that's what that means. Until I can say the word, drop it, and the dog will do the behavior, they let the toy go, at which point in time, whether they get food or not is now going to be up to me. I could choose not to click it. I could choose to reinforce them in other ways. If you didn't want to use food at all, cool. Then, of course, there's other ways you could do it. It would be a little bit more manual or manipulation. So I don't have a problem putting my hand on a toy that a dog has in their hand. And if I need, I make really careful that I don't accidentally do anything that remind me UPS in a second when I finish this. If the dog has a toy in their mouth and I put my hand on it, I try not to do anything that would feel to the dog like I'm playing tug. So I hold pretty still, and if they won't release it to me, I will put my hand over and kind of like in their mouth or on their tooth, so that if they tried to clamp down harder, they would only be kind of biting their own lip. And as soon as I can sense any kind of release, I just take the ball and move on. But my goal, right, so try to do that as calmly as you can. But for me, I like the idea of the dog learning the concept when I use food, because it's more fun and it's more from a relationship building standpoint. They need to view that like they're going to get something out of it, because in all honesty, they have a toy. They love the toy, they want the toy, and they don't probably really want you to have the toy. They would rather keep it. So in my relationship with an animal, I will want to say, thank you very much for giving me that toy, because there's lots of reasons why you might have considered not giving it to me. And so I definitely will want to reinforce a dog. Now, what I reinforce them for, do you do that for resource guarders too? Yeah. Do I do what? Depending. I probably would not manhandle or manipulate, like I was saying, hand over their mouth or whatever, if the dog was in the mindset of like, I think I'll try to bite you if you want to take my toy, right? I would trade for food, yes. And of course you have to be careful that you don't get hurt. If I'm dealing with an extreme resource guarding issue, I generally would start differently. Safety is always number one priority for myself, but also for the dog. I don't ever want to push them or get them to stay in mind that they would try to bite me. But our protocols for that are slow and steady, but tons of reinforcement if they choose to do it on their own, backed up with like, well, they don't really have a choice. So they'll get corrected if they don't, or they react or try to bite, but they'll get highly reinforced if they choose to do it right. So we just tip the scales in our favor that it's like, dude, you're going to have to give this to me anyway. You might as well do it voluntarily, because it will make it worth your while. Awesome. Looks like a bunch of you are just joining, and if some of you are new to following me and some of you that just joined up, welcome. You're very welcome, Crystal. UPS, yeah. I also want to just introduce myself again. My name is Kim Greco, and I own a dog training business called Paws and Possibilities, and we have part of the company is in just outside of Annapolis, Maryland, and I also spend some time up in New York City. My website is pawsandpossibilities.com, and we're facebook.com/pawsandpossibilities as well. Both places we have Instagram and Snapchat and Pinterest. So you can get to the website too. There's a link from my bio in my Periscope description. So that might be the easiest way for you to get over to the website when the broadcast is done. You are very welcome. If you guys are new to following me and you haven't been to my website yet, I highly recommend that you download the free offer that we have that pops up when you first get over to the website. It is an article that I wrote that explains basically how you can use positive reinforcement correctly, and most importantly, it highlights for you the biggest mistake that almost everybody makes when they try to use positive reinforcement. And as soon as you know what it is, it's really simple to stop doing that. So you can get that free resource on our website as well. So go ahead and grab that. Now, UPS. So somebody just said a second ago, you have a dog that barks. I believe you said they bark just at UPS. I wonder if they bark at anybody else, or just, how do you get them to stop barking at UPS? So for me, it's pretty clear for that behavior and why so many dogs typically have issues with UPS or post office or any of that, is that the whole thing is reinforcing to the dog. So somebody's walking up to your house, your dog barks at everyone. Your dog barks at that person, and then what happens? The person drops the package at your front door and turns around and walks away. And as far as the dog is concerned, they're like, I did that. Like, I made you leave because I barked at you. So it gets highly reinforced, and then the dog just keeps doing it, right? Like, why not? That was fun. So how do you interrupt that? So first of all, you need to highly reinforce. First, you might need to make it easier. If it's predictable, if you know when UPS is coming, I would throw your dog on a leash. I would keep them a little further from the bubble of the front of the house than you normally do. And if you can click and treat for your dog being calm while the UPS person is coming up your driveway, you're golden. That might be all you need to do to change your dog's mind as far as what pays the most, what's the most reinforcing. Barking at this guy and getting him to leave, or hanging out here with you quietly and getting highly reinforced. Some dogs would still pick barking, but some dogs would gladly pick getting highly reinforced with food over barking. Now, if your dog, when those are the choices, still picks barking, now you're in a position where you're probably going to need to effectively correct your dog. 2 Yorkies on that exact same thing today. Yeah, me too. I saw Nico and Cooper today in their home as a follow-up for their immersion training from last week. If you guys followed me last week, you met some Yorkies that were in for training. And we did a little bit of barking as people came to their front door today. I practiced ringing the doorbell about 10 times, and they were working on being quiet on command. So they're allowed to ring, they're allowed to bark when the doorbell rings, but they need to be quiet when we say quiet. And they were doing super on that. So it's all about like what your definition is. My dogs are allowed to bark at people outside of our house, and did it work? Yes, it worked. Of course it worked. But that we were able to, figure out for the Yorkies what's reinforcing, and then what kind of correction is effective. So for them, most of the time I used just a squirt bottle. So using our system, I will click followed by a treat for any time they do something correctly, or if they do something inappropriately. Hey, Lauren. Hello. So glad that you're here. Hey, everybody. Lauren's on the scope. If she comments on anything, listen, she's awesome. She's my right-hand man, and so she's watching now. So, and if the dogs do something wrong, I will say no, and then I will follow that and pair it with something that will be effective in communicating to the dog that I don't want you to do that. So in the case with these little Yorkies, and honestly for most of the dogs that we work, we can use a squirt bottle to do that. We can say no and then squirt the dog. Now most people, when they go to implement punishment properly or don't do it properly, they will squirt the dog and then say no, or they'll just squirt the dog, or you'll just say no and then not squirt. So we apply it in a system that's pretty strict and pretty rigid for a variety of different reasons, but all of the reasons are scientific, and I would talk over you unless you're a psychology major if I were to explain it all to you. But it is that the easiest way to remember it is I teach people, if you can remember the word ACT, A-C-T. Are you talking about the toy in behind me on the ground? This right here is a toy and another toy and a sleeping German Shepherd. So no, a toy. If you can remember the acronym ACT, ACT, A stands for action, C stands for capture, T stands for tell. And when the dog does an action, you just capture it, and then you tell them how you felt about that action. This is as simple as it needs to be, right? It doesn't have to, this is so simple. So if your dog does something right, if Boomer came and sniffed the odor tin instead of the food in my hand, then I capture that. In this case, I said yes. And then I told him that I liked his action. I told him by giving him some food. Now, that's odd. But now, if, let's say, I was doing a session and Boomer jumped on me. Okay, so I don't want him, I don't want, let's see, sorry. Obviously I don't want Boomer to jump on me. And so if Boomer jumps on me, I would say no, and then I would follow that up with something that he doesn't like. So I could pick up a squirt bottle and squirt it. He hates that. He has an e-collar on, so I could tap him on an e-collar right now. It's, it's on, I think it's on level 11. If he were to do something wrong, which is not very high. I can't even feel it until it's at a number 7. So it depends on the dog. Some people use a shaker can, some people use, if he has his prong collar on, I could say no and then correct with a prong collar. There's a variety of different things that I could use to communicate him, and the important part is that you use the system correctly. So first is an action, the timing matters on when you click, and the timing matters on when you say no. And that it matters that the click is always paired with something they like, food, and that the no is always paired with something that they would prefer not to have. Do you see squirt seem to work with high distractions? Do you ever change your correction object? Yes, I change it. Hardest thing is seeing several things hands through once. Say that again. I think that was Karen. I didn't catch yours. I was trying to read too fast. Yeah, if the distraction level is too high, then your dog is not in a state of mind where they can learn. And so what I generally say, I feel like I want you guys to see Boomer. I can't scoot over anymore. Let's see if I can. I know, because I'm plugged into the wall, so I can't get you on Boomer any more than that. If the dog is too distracted, then can you use a ball for positive reinforcement of the dog's? Yes, you can. I don't use a clicker and then a ball. Personally, I always use food with a clicker. With an incredibly toy-driven dog, like Boomer, I will use a toy on the marker of yes. So for Boomer, yes means that you're going to get either food or toy. The clicker means that you're going to get food. But you really, as long as you have a really clear definition, you could do whatever you want. And as long as you are correct in your assumption that that toy is in fact highly reinforcing, which most people who have super toy-driven animals are well aware of, that it's reinforcing to them. So the clicker always needs to be paired with something they like. The no always needs to be paired with something that they don't like, because really you're trying to convince them that you want to have a reduced probability of them doing something of that in the future. So it has to be clear to the dog like that. Cool. So we have distraction entering stage right. So I'm noticing Boomer got alert. Of course, he's not sleeping anymore. No. I heard a little growl, which was surprising. And now a groan. So the growl switched to a groan. So my son just came down. But he was pretty good. Didn't get off his place, but definitely got more alert than he needs to for just being at our house. But that's Boomer for you. Is that an air hockey? Oh, is the air hockey used to train? No, but Boomer often goes to lie under there on his own, so sometimes I'll put his place bed under there and just let him go. So when I say place, now I'm letting him go hang out in a place that he would have picked to hang out with anyway. But no, the air hockey table is really just for the kids to play with. And for me to keep stuff on. I always end up piling stuff on top of there. Squirt bottle, shock, treats, leash clicker, a lot of things in your hands at once. Yeah, Karen, although I always can go to a verbal marker if I need to, generally I keep a clicker in my pocket facing out so that if I don't have to hold it, I can just push my pocket and it'll click. For me, I have an e-collar transmitter just on Boomer, and I almost always have it on a carabiner, and I just hook it to my jeans, my loop of my jeans. And so at this point now I'm not carrying anything, right? I generally will put a treat pouch on if I'm going to be clicker training while I'm walking. So my pouch is hooked to me, my clicker's in my pocket, my transmitter's also attached to me, and I'm left only holding the leash. So that's me. I don't really like to have a lot of things in my hands when I'm out walking, so I try to manage so that I don't have to have tons of stuff with me. Awesome, you guys. I just saw like 4 hearts go up, which made me realize I hadn't seen hearts. Thank you, Lauren. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect advice, Lauren. And when you have all those things that you're working with, thank you guys for the hearts again, you're never in a rush. So in this series of ACT, A-C-T, the dog does the action, you're in a rush to capture it. That's really it. Your timing has to be good for when you click, and your timing has to be good for when you say no. After that, you have the freedom and the luxury to take as long as you need to deliver the consequence. The consequence is either the treat or the squirt, let's say. So that's a huge, C stands for capture. You want to capture. So it's this clicker training. It's literally like you're taking a photograph. The moment that you click, you're taking a photograph. Or the moment that you say no, you're taking a photograph. And you want to show your dog the picture. Be like, see this picture when your feet were off the ground? I don't want you to do that. Or see this picture when your feet are on the ground? I want more of this. So if you stick to that system, you will be following the psychological principles correctly. And that's all you'll need to know. That's the order things need to happen in. People have a tendency to rush through. So I'm glad, Lauren, that you said that. When you click, they tend to rush and give them the treat really fast. Or when you say no, people try to frantically hurry up and get the squirt bottle and squirt their dog as fast as they can. And you don't have to rush. And so some of you know, I spent 10 years as a dolphin trainer, which was super fun, and I loved every day of it. But picture this, I think this is the thing that helps the most for people to really understand this. Picture a dolphin pool. If I send a dolphin on a jump and they go and they're like 15 feet away from me, let's say, and they jump 15 feet out of the air. And in this case, let's say I'm super excited because most of the time they're lazy and they only jump 10 feet. So I want to capture the peak of the jump at 15 feet high and tell them, wow, I love that you just jumped that high. So I would click, we use a whistle, but it's the same thing. So click the moment they were at the peak of the jump, 15 feet high. So I just took a picture of the dolphin 15 feet in the air. Now, he's going to finish the jump. He's going to swim all the way back over to me. And sometimes our exhibits are pretty large, so it takes like a little while to come all the way back. If you've ever seen a dolphin show, now you'll know, like we greet them, we're all wild and crazy and jumping up and down and rubbing on their head. I'll probably tickle his tongue. Then I'm going to turn around. Nope, not now. Then I'm going to turn around and get some fish from the bucket, and I'm going to turn back around to the dolphin, and when I give him the fish, he knows and I know it's for what I took a picture of. So you can think about if a dolphin's going to finish that jump and swim all the way back, and then I'm going to act all goofy, like how long has passed, technically, if you start a stopwatch, from the point that you click to the point you need to give them the treat. It doesn't really matter. You are not in a rush. Your dog will know the food is coming. Your dog will know the squirt is coming, and it will be super effective without having to rush. And I think that when you can handle the situation calmly, precisely, and slowly, your dog can process the information that you're trying to teach them. And I also want to highlight again, because I know, Crystal, you were asking if the dogs are super distracted, already kind of in the red zone. You have to locate the right pouch. Well, for me, it's just one pouch and then my pocket. So I don't find that complicated, but I've also done it a lot, so I'm used to it. But I know, I'm sure when people are starting, it's complicated. And all you need, so we try to simplify it, slow it down. If the dog's already in the red zone, if the dog's already reacting, alerting in there, and you say no and squirt them with a squirt bottle, most dogs, they're not going to stop. That's not going to really be a blip on their radar for them. And so it depends on the severity of the behavior. If you need to break through quickly, the consequence might have to go up, but what works better is if you spend more time in positive reinforcement and setting your dog up for success, having those distractions be further away so that your dog isn't reacting yet, and build up their threshold for what they can tolerate. But the training will always work. I always say on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is this for the dog right now? And if you would say in watching the behavior that you think it's ranked like a 7 or above, if you think it's hard enough for the dog that you would say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's above a 7, then their dog's not really in the state of mind that they can learn really well at that point. And so we set up training sessions so that we would, thank you, Crystal, so that we would keep the dog at about a 7 for the training. And then after a little while, what was 7 for training turns into 6, which means what was 8 turns into 7. So now we can work what used to be 8. And then we just pull it down that way. But it really is, the reason that we can pull it down towards us and work on all the things we want to work on is because we are using positive reinforcement so effectively in communicating to the dogs, and that what we are really making sure we're not doing, this is important because this is what most people do wrong, is that we don't in our training process end up accidentally reinforcing stuff that we don't want. How do you train off leash? In all honesty, the easiest way to train off leash is to use low levels on an e-collar. Low levels on an e-collar could potentially be low enough so that it's so soft that you wouldn't be able to feel it on your hand. Then the e-collar turns into an invisible leash, and you can train your dog off-leash recall in a week. Reliable. Break away from playing with dogs, break away from food, break away from chasing deer, whatever you want. E-collar training is the most effective way to train off-leash reliability under any kind of distractions. That is a very large, very sleepy German Shepherd. Very large, very sleepy German Shepherd, not to be confused with the very small, oh, hang on, I'm plugged in, so I can't do that. The very small, very sleepy Shih Tzus mixes that are on the couch. Abby and Molly. Cool. Yeah, so I think Boomer picked his head up when I said he was very sleepy, but that's it. So I think that's it, you guys. I just wanted to show you the beginning of this scope. Had a training session. You love my dogs. Thank you so much. Me too. The beginning of this, if you want to watch the replay, if you missed part of it, was the very beginning stages of scent training. And I was using an odor tin here, and Boomer was coming over and practicing alerting on odor and getting reinforced for it. So it was pretty cool. I was using marker training. I used yes to let him know he was doing a good job. And clicker training is just super, super cool in that regard. What I love about scent training, in this recap, what I love about scent training is that you can't really help your dog very much. Yeah, Lauren, watch it. Boomer did a good job. Right, guys? Those of you that were here earlier and you saw it, right? He did good. But it's so cool because you can't help your dog. They have to do it. And it's such a great opportunity for them to figure out how they can do it. The guy's name again with the sense stuff is Andrew Ramsey. And yeah, Andrew Ramsey. Awesome, thank you. Andrew Ramsey, I got a whole kit that they're going to email me, and it is excellent mental exercise. So if just Googling Andrew Ramsey, probably throw in nose work, doesn't get you where you need to go, email me or send me a message on Facebook, and I will connect you with him on Facebook. And I wanted to get a kit that would be applicable for UKC or the other nose work organization that has 5 letters, and I can't remember right now, but starts with N. They have only 3 odors. The UKC has 5 odors. I bought a kit from Andrew that has 5 odors because then whichever way I go, I have what I need. And the kits that with 5 odors aren't on their website yet, but they can still make you one if you email them. So if you want 5 odors or just 3, that would be up to you and in your area if you ever wanted to compete and where you want to go to. But so anyway, so that's where we are. We're like we're ground zero for scent training in this house, but it's going to be cool, pretty cool. I'm not going to overwhelm you with scent training periscopes, but I will, you know, every once in a while show you an update on how the dogs are doing and where they are in their training, because it's pretty cool to be able to watch dogs that are pretty well trained just go learn something brand new they've never learned before. And you like seeing Boomer. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, he's doing good. Thank you. Thanks, Karen, I appreciate that. So I think that is it. You guys have a very awesome night. I'm going to end this scope like I do most of my scopes in letting you know again that your time and your attention are so important and so valuable, and I really appreciate you sharing them both with me. I do not take that lightly. I appreciate you being here, and I love sharing this information with you. So for those of you that were tapping the screen and sending some love my way, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you guys are not already following me, please do that, and then you'll see notifications when I go live. And if you want to see anything in particular, definitely people email me or send me messages on Facebook if you have certain topics that you want me to cover. I'm always happy to address those and make sure your questions get answered with regards to how to train your own dog as well. So I come on with question and answer sessions a couple times a week so I can answer your specific questions, and in the meantime I always like to show you behind the scenes of what it's like to train at my house. That's it, you guys. You'll be in contact for classes. Awesome. So Lauren's on this Pause and Pause. That's cute. Lauren is on this Pause and Possibilities. Pause and Possibilities. Lauren's on this scope right now, so she's actually the one that you'll be contacting for group classes. She's the one who'll get back in touch with you to help you figure that out. Awesome. Yeah, there's Lauren right there. So she'll be replying to your email when you register. Everything you need for group classes is on our website. And that is it, you guys. I'm so excited that you're here. So excited you have a great night. And everybody, if you're around here on the East Coast, stay safe in the snow. Thank you. And that's it. You guys have an awesome night. Take care.